They killed Big Bertha, my lake's 8-pound bass, the one I fed every morning for years, floated belly up with 200 other fish. The water reeked of chemicals, and my hands shook with rage. But here's the twist. My HOA didn't just poison my lake. They poisoned their own drinking water. For me, the lake was never just water. It was heritage. My grandfather carved out this place in the 1950s, built the dock with his own hands, and taught me how to fish before I could even ride a bike. Every sunrise, mist rose off the surface like smoke, and the air smelled of honeysuckle mixed with clean minerals. Blue herons perched in the cypress trees. Bass splashed at dawn. It wasn't just a lake. It was peace. My 12 acres, spring-fed, crystal clear, had been in my family for 70 years. While the world grew louder and busier, this lake stayed timeless, a reminder of simpler days. So when a new subdivision rose around me, hundreds of houses, shiny SUVs, manicured lawns, I thought I could still keep my peace. I was wrong, because with those houses came the one neighbor who would turn this paradise into a battlefield. Her name was Vivian Blackwater, 47, lawyer by trade, dictator by hobby. Picture a white Lexus detailed weekly, a woman who wore her portfolio like armor and used phrases like aesthetic compliance standards in casual conversation. Within 6 months of moving into Willow Creek Estates, she declared herself HOA president. At first, her obsession was annoying but harmless. Letters about unsightly fishing activities arriving in certified mail. Complaints that my dock, built in 1987, long before her subdivision even existed, was ruining her million-dollar view. She even had the audacity to demand I tear it down. I laughed it off, called my lawyer buddy, who told me HOA rules couldn't apply to property older than the HOA itself. I thought the matter was settled. But Vivian wasn't the type to accept no. She wasn't content with controlling her neighborhood. She wanted to control me, my land, and my water. And I had no idea how far she was willing to go. The next wave was harassment. Every time I set foot on the dock, Vivian's landscapers would crank up their machines. Leaf blowers, chainsaws, mowers, all roaring at 6 a.m. diesel fumes mixed with honeysuckle, drowning out the peaceful mornings I cherished. Then came the lawsuits. She hired surveyors to prove my dock extended 6 inches past some imaginary boundary line. She filed a county complaint claiming my structure was illegal, only for inspectors to find my permits perfectly valid. Online, she painted me as the difficult neighbor, launching a Facebook campaign in the HOA group, stirring paranoia about community standards. Strangers gave me dirty looks at the grocery store. But here's the thing, I'm stubborn. Fishing was my grandfather's legacy, my sanctuary. No lawsuit, no gossip, no noise could make me give it up. Still, I underestimated Vivian. The paperwork, the noise, the harassment, that was just her warm-up. Her real attack was something far more sinister. It happened overnight. I came home one Sunday, and before I even opened my truck door, I smelled it. That sharp, metallic stench of chemicals. The lake shimmered an unnatural shade of blue-green, like antifreeze. And then I saw her, Big Bertha, the 8-pound bass I'd fed for 3 years. Belly up, bloated, drifting near the dock. Around her, hundreds of other fish, bluegill, catfish, crappie, floating lifeless on the surface. My lake was silent. No birds, no frogs, no life. My chest burned with rage. Vivian had crossed from harassment into environmental terrorism. She'd hired a company to dump industrial algaseed into my spring-fed lake under the cover of night. For her, it was about property values. For me, it was the murder of 70 years of family heritage. I called the county emergency hotline. Within hours, hazmat suits and testing kits confirmed it, industrial-strength copper sulfate, enough to sterilize the ecosystem for years. A felony environmental crime. But while I stood there grieving, holding Big Bertha's slimy body in my hands, a darker realization hit me. This wasn't just my loss. Because Vivian had poisoned more than a lake. She had poisoned her own neighborhood's water supply. You see, my lake isn't just a pond in the woods. It's spring-fed, connected to an underground aquifer that supplies every single well in Willow Creek Estates. all 847 homes. I'd installed solar panels for half those houses. I knew their systems, and I knew they were all drinking from the same underground veins of water flowing through my land. I sent samples to an independent lab. The results were staggering. Copper sulfate levels 4 times higher than EPA safety standards. In plain English, Vivian had poisoned her own neighbors' faucets, showers, coffee pots, and ice makers. For months, she'd tried to make me the villain. But now, karma had flipped the script. She wasn't just the HOA president anymore. She was the woman responsible for contaminating her entire community's drinking water. And I had the evidence to prove it. I wasn't about to let this slide. I dug into my grandfather's dusty deed records, flipping through brittle pages in the courthouse basement. And there it was, water rights. My family didn't just own the land, we owned every drop of that underground spring system in perpetuity. Legally, every time her neighbors flushed a toilet or filled a glass, they'd been using water that belonged to me. For 15 years, without permission. That meant millions in potential back payments, plus damages from the contamination. I called in reinforcements. Tom Martinez, my lawyer, Dr. Mitchell, a hydrogeologist from NC State, Rebecca Torres, an environmental lawyer who lived to destroy polluters, and for good measure, Sarah Morgan, an investigative journalist who specialized in HOA corruption. Together, we built a case. Federal environmental crimes, state-level dumping violations, civil property damage, harassment, and theft of water rights. Vivian thought she could bury me in paperwork. But I was about to bury her in court documents, expert testimony, and media coverage. Her downfall was coming, and it was going to be very, very public. The community center overflowed with residents. Angry parents waved medical bills, reporters aimed cameras, and deputies guarded the exits. First, the EPA presented their findings. Copper sulfate contamination traced directly to my lake. The crowd gasped. Then I stepped forward with the deed, reading the line that sealed it. All water rights, surface and subsurface, in perpetuity. You could hear the air leave the room. I explained the truth. 15 years of unauthorized use, millions in liability, and now, thanks to Vivian, a full-blown health crisis. The sheriff approached the stage. Vivian Blackwater, you're under arrest for environmental crimes and obstruction of justice. Handcuffs clicked. Vivian screamed about setups and rednecks. Her mask finally gone. Her neighbors, once her supporters, turned away in disgust. And in that moment, justice was no longer an idea. It was real, it was public, and it was finally hers to face. Restoration began immediately. With settlement money and court-ordered restitution, Dr. Mitchell's team restocked fish, replanted aquatic vegetation, and monitored the lake until it healed. Within 2 years, the water was clean again. Bass leapt at sunrise, and children fished from my dock, just like I once had with my grandfather. The HOA reformed, adopting transparency rules to prevent another tyrant from seizing control. Vivian, she lost her license, her husband, her home, and her freedom. And me, I learned the best revenge isn't destruction. It's restoration. It's proving that truth beats tyranny, and sometimes karma flows straight from the tap.